Right. I'm off to deal with the fate of the planet. Be gentle with them.
Oh, you know me, Mark. Kid gloves, but made from real kids.
Hey, really quick before I start this video, I'm gonna go a little bit of a tangent to explain myself. The current problem I have kind of with comics before I really talk about the actual quality of the show, and that has to do with a lot of different factors. If I take the DC, I can't take the gratuitous darkness anymore, the overexposure of Joker storylines, and simply bad multiversal events that try to reset the world every couple of years again. And then you have Marvel, where lots of things are going on. Marvel was always a more human product in type of its heroes and characters. That's what made it great and also relatable. But at the end of the day, these were still heroes, and heroes are there, so you look up to them and you're inspired, to be better, to feel comfort, to feel a home. But I feel like nowadays lots of the characters are not heroes anymore. When you have Spider-Man comics in which he's treated like garbage and with no respect by the writers, just to make his life terrible because, oh yeah, that makes him relatable. No, we want still to see the characters succeed, and it doesn't work. And for the X-Men, my biggest gripe is the notion that Xavier's dream is dead. That made me completely turn off reading anything about the X-Men, and it's a shame because Jonathan Hickman is a good writer. He did a lot of good stuff with his Avengers Time Runs Out run, which is a couple of years ago. But this notion immediately that they abandoned the dream is terrible, because the X-Men have been also used in a allegory for the disenfranchised, for those who not belong. They knew if they opened up an X-Men comic book, there they were home. There they could believe in a life where peaceful coexistence is possible. That's what heroes do. They make you believe that the impossible is possible. And by saying the dream is dead and shipping off the X-Men onto their own island and creating this separate notion, it's something that Malcolm X preached. But even him came to the realization that coexistence is the better option. And if you take them as this allegorical metaphor for the disenfranchised, for the unwelcomed, for the different ones, for the others, then you're telling them you don't belong, you don't have a place. You should have your own place where you can make your own rules, but you don't belong into this real world. You don't belong in our world because coexistence is not possible. We will kill you. And I think that's the wrong message putting out there, because the dream is important. It's important to have the dream that you can live with each other, even if you don't see it during your lifetime. Now, for example, I know many people are not a fan of the Bible, but I'm gonna bring it up because I've never really talked about my faith on this channel, but whatever. There's a story about Moses where he leads his people into a different country far away, but he himself doesn't get to see that. And in history there are countless people who fought for a dream that they would never see themselves, because they were assassinated, because they died before they could see it, but they believed in it. And I think this is essential to the X-Men and how they work. And we see this a lot with the X-Men, how they don't feel like heroes anymore. They're just people, but they're not just people. They are extraordinary people. They are heroes that you should look up to, that you should relate to some level. But at the end of the day, you should say about yourself, oh, I want to be as powerful in will as Cyclops, or I want to be as durable going through life as Wolverine, because at the end of the day, these superpowers are not what makes them special. It's their personalities and how they are amplified through their powers, but it's not the singularity that sets them apart. What sets them apart is how they go about business. And for years, and that was a good thing, it was them proving the world mutants can be different, but this is not mutants can be different. This is mutants are exactly what you're afraid of, and it makes me not angry. It makes me heartbroken, because I think in modern times that we live in, the message has become more important than the story itself. That's why stories are declining in quality, because people just put the message above, and if you put the wrong signals out, then you have a bunch of people being radicalized and stop believing in other options. And I think by killing the dream, you made the wrong choice and focus on the aspect. Now, of course, this is just my opinion, and but that really turned me off from reading X-Men comics, which is a shame, because I like Jonathan Hickman's writing, and I would love to read X-Men comics and stuff like that, because comics helped me a lot during my early childhood. I started reading Spider-Man magazines and stuff, and it actually inspired me to be a better person. This might sound silly, but there was something there, and a lot of things is now deconstructing this archetype or deconstructing this character. But if you constantly, deconstruction means that you have to build something in its place too, but there's just a lot of deconstructing without the rebuilding part, and you deconstruct until there's nothing to deconstruct anymore, and you have these shells. I know there were character betrayals in the past with Cyclops and also Wolverine at times, and a lot of popular characters, but choices like Cyclops killing Xavier, that was not just shocking, but it was shocking because it went against his character, and then turning him into a second kind of Magneto was a shocking act, and that worked partially, you know. But a lot of times it didn't work because it's not the character you're familiar with, and it's not the character that you want to read. And a fictional character can surely adapt and change with times without losing his identity. And that's what I'm getting, you know. By killing the dream of this peaceful coexistence, you're killing the identity of the X-Men immediately. And then you have just a blank slate for characters that you can play around, but with a totally different identity than what it has been established. And it might work for a new audience, but it doesn't work for the long-term audience. Those who shout about arbitrary changes are not even those that like to read them, and that counts for either side. And at the end of the day, it's the fans who do read the comics because they love them, or those who consume the media because they love this type of media, that suffer through it because some parts are shouting here and that. And anyway, this is just a rant. Let's get to the actual video.
Don't forget to subscribe. Now get the fuck out of my driveway.